The 2016 NBA Finals was the legacy finals for LeBron James and the Golden State Warriors. LeBron James made a promise to Cleveland that he would bring a title to a city that hasn't seen a title in 52 years. This was a city that was known for being cursed when it came to sports. They had a very long history of suffering, from the fumble.
Draw to Biner. Ernest Biner. Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh my!
To the drive. To the shot.
Jordan with 2 seconds to go, puts it up, it's good at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
And even to the decision which saw their hometown hero, LeBron James, leave to Miami.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Now back in Cleveland, can the hometown kid break the 52-year curse that Cleveland had on them and deliver the first title to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Unfortunately, Cleveland would get the short end of the stick again, running into the Golden State Warriors, who were in the midst of a dream season. The Warriors held the NBA record for wins in a regular season with 73 wins and had a chance to cement themselves as the greatest team ever. They also featured Stephen Curry, the first unanimous MVP ever.
I think Steph Curry just played the greatest single season we have ever seen any NBA player have.
Not only was Curry there to beat LeBron in the championship, he was also there to prove that he was the greatest player on the planet and had a chance to put himself down as one of the greatest point guards ever. It was Golden State versus Cleveland, an up-and-coming dynasty versus a city who knows nothing but suffering. It was Curry versus LeBron, the kid who was trying to dethrone LeBron as a king and take the crown for the best player in the world, and LeBron, who was still in the prime of his career, trying to hold on to this crown and complete the promise that he gave to his city. Welcome to the 2016 NBA Finals.
Warriors take game one, courtesy of their bench.
The game ball goes to Sean Livingston. Came in, gave him a huge spark, but when you get outscored 45-10 and on the bench and you give up 25 points off 17 turnovers, no matter what someone does or doesn't do, it's going to be hard to win, especially on the road.
Last year we dropped game 2, put us in a hole going into Cleveland, so we know they're going to come out desperate.
Only 3 out of the 31 teams that have fallen behind 2 games tonight in finals history have gone on to win it all. For the Warriors, it's about continuing the pressure and taking another step toward their goal of back-to-back titles.
It's not going to be easy. It's a hostile crowd, and they're going to want to go up 2-0. Why not? They're at home, and they want to win both games, so we got to come ready to play.
All eyes were on LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Could they bounce back from a 15-point loss in Game 1, or did they squander their best chance of winning a game on the road? The previous season saw the Cavaliers win Game 2 behind a LeBron James triple-double. But this year the Warriors were better and ready, with last year's Game 2 loss fresh on their minds. The storyline of Game 1 was the Warriors bench. A magnificent performance from Sean Livingston and Leandro Barbosa catapulted the Warriors into a Game 1 victory. But now the question was, how was Cleveland going to respond after holding their best 2 players, Curry and Clay, basically non-existent all in Game 1 and still losing by 15 points? And the Warriors were focused on not making the same mistakes that they did the previous year. In 2015, we saw the Warriors win Game 1 and lose 2 and 3 to the Cavaliers and would go down 2-1. So heading into Game 2, there were some key storylines. Could Steph and Clay rebound from their poor performances in Game 1? Would J.R. Smith actually show up in this game, which he was completely non-existent in Game 1? And could the Warriors take a 2-0 lead going into Cleveland? Let's get to Game 2 of the 2016 NBA Finals.
We are set to go for Game 2. The last 6 years, the NBA Finals have been tied at 1 game apiece after 2 games. Can the Cavs make it 7 straight, even things up tonight? Or will Golden State get another home win where they've been so tough to beat? 10-1 in the playoffs, 39-2 during the regular season, and a 15-point win in Game 1. Cleveland trying to bounce back from just their third loss of these playoffs.
Kyrie Irving started the game off hot with 2 quick baskets to get the Cavs going. On the other side, the Warriors kept the game close with Andrew Bogut recording 4 blocks in the first quarter and setting the tone defensively. The game remained close all the way through the first quarter and early in the second, but Draymond Green would absolutely steal the show in the second quarter, recording 12 of his 18 first half points in that quarter, including 3 3-pointers. Draymond Green was the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors. Drafted out of Michigan State in 2012, he was an early second-round steal for the Warriors. Coming out of college, many wondered if Draymond would be an effective NBA player. He was an undersized forward at 6'6". Scouts thought he was too small to play power forward and too slow to play small forward. Draymond Green would use this as fuel for his career, being drafted 35th, proving all his doubters wrong that he can play in the NBA and be a forward. To this day, he can still rattle off all 34 players named before him.
Like I felt like I should have been a first-round pick. I won National Player of the Year. Like Anthony Davis, all those guys was in college the year that I won National Player of the Year. And I went second round. Like, National Players of the Year don't go second round. You know what I'm saying?
Green's rookie year, he didn't spend much time on the court and saw very inconsistent minutes, only averaging 13.4 minutes a game on 2 points per game. But the Warriors looked at him as an energy guy off the bench in a role that he would excel at later in his career. His sophomore season saw more minutes as there were key injuries to the Warriors' big men Andrew Bogut and David Lee. But it wasn't until the first round of the playoffs we saw a glimpse of Green's full potential in full display. With Bogut out, we saw the Warriors go heavy on a small ball lineup and would slide Green in often at the 4 and 5. He would excel in this lineup and would be the defining moment of his career. The following year saw new head coach Steve Kerr, who would bring in a new system and would land heavy on the small ball lineup, utilizing Draymond Green in the starting lineup. In 3 short years, Green had transitioned his career from being a bench warmer to a Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a versatile player, and he's really the guy who kind of makes the small lineup work, especially at the defensive end of the floor, because he can guard point guards on switches, but he can protect the rim as well, and he can guard anybody in between on the wing. So
Green was not only a key piece to the Warriors' success, he was also the leader of this team. He was a guy who would anchor the defense, who set the tone in the locker room, the first guy that would let you know when you made a mistake. When you heard the term Warriors culture, that was Green. He created and enforced that culture throughout the whole organization.
Like, you make that whole organization go. You make, I mean, obviously Steph and Clay and KD and whoever the people who have helped you obtain the success you have, but that team doesn't win one championship without y'all.
Green would often take on the assignment of guarding the opposing team's best player, and he was the guy they called on to lock somebody down.
Well, everything. Draymond does everything for us. He defends. When we play our small lineup, he's our rim protector.
And with Clay and Steph not being very vocal guys, Green would step into this role and be the vocal leader for this team. Green was crucial to the Warriors offense as a playmaker and would allow Curry to shoot the ball more and not always have to worry about being the main playmaker in the game. Many things that Green would do on the offensive end never really showed up on the stat sheet. He was just a guy you needed to win a championship. Despite what he did on both ends of the court, his biggest impact came in the locker room. He was the leader of this team, and his leadership in the locker room contributed to the success on the court. Without Green, there was no 2015 championship. There was no 73-9. Green, as great an offensive player he was never the greatest three-point shooter, only shooting 30% from 3 during the regular season. And in matchups against the Cavs, they dared Draymond Green to shoot, giving him open shots all game, and he would only make 2 out of 6 threes against them in the regular season. But tonight was a different story. His shot was falling and had 18 first half points, and 4 of those being 3-pointers. Green helped lead the Warriors to a 20-2 second quarter run, giving the Warriors a 12-point lead. Clay and Steph both had better first halves than they did in game 1 and would have combined for 20 points. However, much like last game, Cleveland would end the half strong and would cut the lead down to single digits with some timely LeBron James baskets. The third quarter started off sloppy on both ends. The Warriors and the Cavs both traded baskets, and halfway through the third quarter, the Warriors started to catch fire. First, a Clay 3 followed by Draymond, who would continue his onslaught on the Cavs. First, he would make a layup, and then an off the dribble 3, and then a pull-up jump shot. He would then top that off with a nice pass to Klay Thompson to extend the lead to 20 points. And they would once again have another great third quarter for the greatest third quarter team in NBA history. Throughout the historic season, the Warriors were great in the third quarter, often coming back from 20-point leads and completely flipping the game around. This season and the previous season, the Warriors led in third quarter net ratings. But this was just one thing that the 73-9 Golden State Warriors team did so great. After winning the 2015 NBA Finals, many knew the Warriors would be good, but no one predicted that they would be this good. The previous season, they had just won 67 games, and to say that you knew they were going to win more than 67 was a lie.
You knew I had a special group from last year, and we felt we would be better, but I didn't think we'd win more than 67, and 73 just seems outrageous. I never gave it a second thought.
Every year, NBA teams picked a slogan, and this year, the Warriors chose strength in numbers.
You can't look anywhere in this arena, Sean, without seeing the strength in numbers. How does this group embody that slogan?
Yeah, that's our motto. That's what we believe in. We pick each other up, and we believe in each other, and we just fight.
It represented inclusion of everyone in the organization to push to achieve one goal, a championship.
I looked at the roster, and we had so many guys who can play, and it seemed obvious that if we played 10, 11 people every night at a high level for shorter minutes, that we could wear people down.
And that slogan was put to test at the very beginning of the season. Coming off the championship, Kerr would suffer 2 back surgeries in the offseason, forcing him to miss the first half of the regular season. And his assistant coach, Luke Walton, took over the first 43 games of the regular season. Under Walton, the Warriors came out to a blistering start, winning the first 24 games in the regular season. The best start to an NBA season ever. And they scored 100 points in every single game of this streak. Eventually, they would lose to the Milwaukee Bucks, ending their streak, but still would go 39-4 under Luke Walton. And when Kerr returned, the Warriors were still steaming hot. They continued to dominate the league, going into All-Star break with a 48-4 record, with their sights on the Chicago Bulls' 72-10 record.
I don't think we feel pressure to break the record. We're right there, and our guys want to do it. So we'll go for it. We'll see if we can get it.
The rest of the season was more the same. The Warriors dominated their competition. They did not lose a single game back to back, and only lost 2 games at home the entire season. And with the season coming to the close and the Warriors having the first seed wrapped up, many people question, would they go for the record or would they rest their players?
We're 12 games away. We need to win 10 to set the record. That's pretty enticing. And it's really the players' record. I know they want to get it, so we'll act accordingly.
They did indeed go for the record, and on April 13th, they defeated the Memphis Grizzlies 125-104 in a game that will go down in NBA history.
It's official, number 73. The greatest regular season in NBA history now belongs to the 2016 Golden State Warriors.
What you guys just accomplished is incredible. I honestly thought nobody would ever beat that record. I mean, and I honestly think now nobody will ever beat this record.
The team won 54 home games this year, and Steph Curry was named the first ever unanimous MVP. Not only was this team dominant, they changed the way the game was played. For the first time ever, we saw teams picking guys up at the half-court line. Defenses stretched all the way out, and help side almost being non-existent because of the elite shooting from Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Have you ever seen anybody get blitzed at half court? It was shocking because nobody's ever shot the ball from out there.
The question now, was this the greatest team of all time? The 72-10 Bulls were notorious for wearing the don't mean a thing without a ring shirt during warm-ups.
Yeah, man, I mean, winning 70-plus games was great for us, but as my man here say, 72-10 don't mean a thing without the ring.
So the question surrounding the Warriors through the whole playoffs was, could this team complete the dream season? And the playoffs weren't as easy as the regular season, as the Warriors were extremely tested in the Western Conference Finals, being down 3-1 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. After battling back 3-1, the Warriors would clinch the Western Conference and go into their second consecutive NBA Finals, where they would meet LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, already up 1-0 in the series, they were looking to secure home court and go up 2-0 going into Cleveland. In the fourth quarter, the ass whooping continued. Curry, who sat out most of the third quarter, came in the fourth quarter with a 3, followed by 2 back-to-back Barbosa layups. And on the other end, they continued to suffocate the Cavs defense, holding the Cavs isolation ball down to 37% shooting. And to make matters worse, Love had been hit in the head earlier in the game and was diagnosed with a concussion in the fourth quarter, saying that he would not return for the remainder of the game. And the Warriors, well, they continued their beatdown.
In love with the pretty basketball, the great ball movement, the competitive spirit, the moving without the basketball. And one thing this team constantly does, it takes your will.
Livingston, back out Barbosa, up top Thompson for 3, pucks it in!
The game would end 110-77, with the Golden State Warriors going up 2-0 going into Cleveland. After game 2, there were serious red flags concerning the Cavaliers. For one, the big 3 were in serious trouble. They had only combined for 34 points in the entire game. And on the other end, their defense looked lost, not knowing how to defend the Warriors' ball movement.
Is that they are getting smacked around and beat up. I mean, it's some embarrassing stuff. I mean, back cut after back cut, wide open layups, nobody's in the vicinity. You're seeing, I'm talking like practically every other play, you're looking at 2 to 3 Cavaliers turning around and looking and pointing at each other. You're supposed to have that. You're supposed to have that.
And Kevin Love had left the game early with a concussion, and no one even knew if he would play in game 3. Losing 2 games on the road isn't the end of the world in an NBA playoff series, but the Cavs didn't just lose. They lost by the largest point differential through the first 2 games of an NBA Finals in NBA history. But the Cavaliers did not lack faith. At the end of the day, they were going home, and they had LeBron James and Kyrie Irving.
Because let me tell you something right now. I look like I want the finals for LeBron James more than LeBron James wants. You do.